Hello, team. Welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video. I'm myself, Jonathan MSP. The Ukraine War news update, third part there for today, the 9th of August 2024. I'm just going to really rush through this as I need to get back to my family. But we have some geopolitical news to go through. Not a huge amount, but this is an interesting statement from Podolyak here, who has stated that Russia is starting to lose a war. I don't understand why people say that the war will last a long time. What Russia still calls negotiations is actually an ultimatum for Ukraine to surrender. The only basis for negotiations is international law, which establishes territorial integrity, and Russia has lost its reputation as a country to be feared. But I wonder whether Russia are, and I said this in my last video to a degree, when you're looking at what Russia are having to do to recruit or almost steal experts in certain areas, like a drone operator or a tank operator or an kinesiologist, as was reported, to fight as stormtroopers on the front line. You are in desperate situations if that is if that's what you have to do. So I wonder, with my highest level of copium and hopium, I wonder whether Russia are in a much more fragile situation than we might have otherwise thought, given the difficulties Ukraine is under on the Eastern Front, where the Russians are still pushing and pushing and pushing. But I just get the sense that they're throwing everything into there that they possibly can, knowing that this is kind of, I don't know whether the last roll of the dice is the correct term there, but they need to achieve as much as possible before the weather gives out on them. And they might not be in as good a position as we might have thought. So anyway, the UK has imposed new sanctions against the Lukashenko regime, the Belarusian dictator, timed to coincide with the anniversary of the mass protests. So there were mass protests in 2020, was it, against Lukashenko. He was only put in place as a result of Putin getting involved. Persons directly involved in the repression against the Belarusian people have fallen under the sanctions. These are the heads of, quote, correctional colonies: Denis Tolentsov, Andrei Palchik, Philip Shevchenko, and Alexei Lazarenko. Restrictions were also posed against the enterprises of Stanko Homel, and these other companies as well, Rook Server Motor and NIIEVM. So the UK is going heavy on the Belarusians there. The US has also imposed sanctions against Lukashenko's plane, the Boeing 767-300. His plane will not be able to be serviced as any part of Boeing's authorized services. It may also have problems with landing at airports and maintenance in many countries around the world. Head of the National Anti-Crisis Management spoke about the importance of sanctions against the dictator's aircraft fleet and a team's contribution to strengthening them. And indeed, the US Department of Treasury has announced new sanctions against 19 individuals and 14 entities linked to the regime of Lukashenko. These sanctions target those involved in supporting Russia militarily, evading sanctions, and enriching Lukashenko. So the net is tightening possibly around those such as Lukashenko and others involved in the Belarusian dictatorship there. Estonia has introduced full customs control on its border with Russia. From today, every person, vehicle, and luggage, as well as all cargo, will be inspected at the checkpoints. Previously, such inspection was selective. The tightening of customs control was explained by the fight against the importation of sanctioned goods to Russia. So again, trying to tighten the net around Russia in terms of these sanction loopholes that allow Russia to get hold of all sorts of things. I think those countries that are directly bordering Russia within the EU or looking to the West are not so much of a problem as Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan and so on and so forth, where many countries are able to export goods and they find their way into Russia. Okay, the price of European gas has reached a 2024 maximum due to concerns about the Ukrainian pipeline, according to Bloomberg. The reason for the sharp changes in the market was a report that the AFU captured a key gas transit point in Sudzha. So this is in the Kursk offensive that the Ukrainians have achieved in moving into the Kursk Oblast in Russia. They've taken control of Sudzha and a pipeline that is incredibly important. The publication notes that the sudden halt of supplies will be a shock for some Central European countries that depend on this gas. At the same time, Gazprom claims that the supply of transit gas through Ukraine continues. It's why that attack into Kursk may be a little bit more strategic than people might think, or have some value outside of just taking territory off the Russians. Now, you've already known that YouTube. I mean, here's one saying YouTube's partially been stopped. The idea is it's been pretty much throttled. I think now Russians are complaining en masse that access to both the mobile app and the desktop version has disappeared. Well, actually, it's not just YouTube. Apparently, Russia's blocking Signal messaging app as well, and plans to block WhatsApp too. Russia's telecommunications regulator Roskomnadzor announced on August the 9th that the messaging app Signal has been blocked due to violations of Russian law. The Russian government has also begun preparations to block WhatsApp. The messenger may be blocked in Russia this autumn. The Russian independent publication Verstka reported today, citing sources at Russian IT company VK, which is developing an application to replace WhatsApp, their own one that, of course, they can monitor. Ukraine has called on Mexico to arrest Putin. The Ukrainian embassy in Mexico has urged the country's government to arrest President Putin if he attends the inauguration of Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, on October the 1st. Now, I presume this means that Mexico is part of the Rome Statute. That means that the International Criminal Court putting out an arrest warrant on his head means that Mexico should arrest him. And Ukraine has asked for that. But I believe since then, Mexico has denied that they would do that. They've said that they will not arrest Putin. So that could be a little bit controversial due to, being a signatory to the Rome Statute, but I need to look into the details of that. And Tim Walz, who is the presumptive vice presidential nominee for the Democrats, has received one of the best endorsements for an American patriot. The Kremlin hates him, says Vlado Knowlton. You know when a Kremlin shill says he, quote, embodies all the worst traits of the Democratic Party's ideology, it really means he embodies all of the best traits. Congrats, Governor Walz. So the Russians really trumping for Trump and going against the Democrats in Kamala Harris and Walz here, because they see Trump as being the preferred winner of the presidential elections in November, because one would assume Russia think that they will get more of what they want, that Trump is more of a pro-Russian American politician than those on the other side of the aisle. So interesting to look where the Russians are throwing their validation and throwing their commendation. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, that's enough from me. Quick one there. Hope that was of interest for you. Thanks for listening. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.